Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. It is a beautiful Sunday. And I was just thinking about what Kevin was saying whenever I start out these transmissions, that I'm always trying to do some kind of small talk. And it's like, ooh, the weather, right? Does anybody really care what the weather is like in Ohio? You can easily just look at the Weather Channel. So I just wanted to, sort of reiterate a little bit and maybe say it more succinctly than I did yesterday, because on Saturday morning I was a little bit triggered because, I'm watching like a lot of my Facebook friends still promote holistic supplements and everything. And they're using these different foundations and websites and groups to promote things that we know already. Good morning, Caroline and Diane. To promote that we know already is poisonous. We know that garlic is poisonous to the human body in small amounts. Not a huge deal, but that's what it's made for. Like garlic is made for just small amounts to season your food. It's not used for massive use to combat cancer, disease, and chronic illness. Chemotherapy is only supposed to be used in small amounts, okay, like uranium. That's like trace minerals, part of the elemental composition of the human body. It's not used or made to combat cancer. We don't poison the body to get rid of maladies. Hey, Katya. Okay. And the same thing goes for turmeric. The same thing goes for apple cider vinegar. We don't use fermented ethanol to combat health issues. So when we see these posts, or when I see these posts and I see them promoting things that I know are totally detrimental, and they've been on my Facebook, I'm going to then look at the person who's promoting it. And yes, I'm going to come off snarky, maybe a little bit of attacking, but also, stating the obvious. And I'm going to post it on my Facebook. I'm not going to completely challenge the person, but I will say on their comment line that garlic or these methods are completely detrimental to children. Okay. So, and then I'll just block them because I don't need to be triggered that way. Not every day. But I'm trying to make a point. Because no matter what, whatever you say, it's going to be opposite of whatever that person's posting. They're not going to like it and they're going to block me, or they're going to be like, okay, yeah, great. You said a great thing. I'm going to now change my life because of you. No, that's not going to happen. So when someone comes on my page and then they defend, like I'm going to say, hey, anyone that promotes Weston A. Price Foundation and you're aging, you have no business promoting these type of remedies. If you are aging, you're degrading, you have cancer, disease, and chronic illness. We don't always know whoever's promoting something, if they're regenerating cells, because we know that there are protocols out there that will deceive the public, like skincare lines, good estheticians, plastic surgery. So we won't really know how chaotic people are inside until you start seeing signs of it. Aging is one of them. Cancer, disease, and chronic illness is another. Not everyone's going to disclose their health history to you, so you won't know unless they tell you. So the only way people are really going to know is when you see them actually aging, when you see that their nips and tucks are now really making the face look really weird. You can tell who's had plastic surgery and who hasn't. Okay. So, and so somebody came on my Facebook, a really good, promoter, good supporter, and she was just like, well, Weston A. Price really just, it helped me out, it helped me wake up, and and I don't want to completely knock them. And I'm like, I get it. We all of us, you, me, Katya, Sarah, Krista, Diane, Carol, everybody, we've all been through the holistic journey. Okay. That's how we got to Jilly Juices. We went through trying everything out on the market, everything, every single diet. Okay. Everything. And if we actually really, not everything, but it's all the same stuff, but just repackaged. If you actually sit back and you look at all the different new diets and protocols and supplements and probiotics, all that stuff, right? You will see it's the same stuff, but repackaged in a different way with different labeling, different marketing, a different, distributor. And they're just trying to revamp their image, but it's still the same crappy stuff. Okay. So if we've all been through that, right? And what's our natural thing? When we want to help somebody, we want to say, hey, we want to not have them go through that crazy journey, right? Right, Caroline. We don't want to have our friends pay tens and thousands of dollars. We don't want our friends to go through that journey. Some people will not make it through that journey. Some people will still stay stuck in an area that we basically graduated from. Right? Like with your kids, like people, when we teach our kids, right, we don't want our kids to make the same mistakes, but do we necessarily want them to take the same path that we did? Because that path was a path of self-discovery. That path was a personal path, for one. Number two, you had different information at the time. So you had to go through that path of the allopathic world and the vaccine world, then to become anti-vax, and then become conspiracy, and then finally see my information, right? I don't want someone to have to go through Alex Jones first, to go through the pills, powders, and supplements first. I don't want a person having to go through hell and high water to finally get relief. So let's say that the path is, first it's the allopathic world, and then that's the path number one, and then in the process, then it's the holistic world, that's path number two. It's like this is the natural progression of where we are coming from, right? And then path number three is step number three is the jilly juice, right? So step one is allopathic, step two is holistic, step three is jilly juice. What would happen if we completely eradicated step number two? Because we all are born into a world right now that is either holistic or allopathic. And if you're holistic, if you're truly holistic in our society, you're still going to be buying into the allopathic way because you're going to want to have some recourse, some safety net, just in case your holistic stuff doesn't work, right? That's why we have all these, biotech in the supplements. We know that homeopaths and osteopaths and midwives and all that are still tied to the system in some way. So what would happen if we completely eradicated, the middle path, the holistic path? So we know people are born into this system of holistic and allopathic. What would happen if they went from the holistic allopathic world, went straight into jilly juice? Because unless you're living way away from society where there's nothing around, you are going to be born, if you are a baby or if your mother are going to have a baby, your baby is going to be born in a system that's already subscribed to the allopathic holistic model. What if we gave people the option to go from that model right into jilly juice? And we are doing that with people who are, on jilly juice and are going to be having babies. That's already happening. But there are people in your world that have already been born into the allopathic holistic model, and they're struggling, okay? And they are looking at all of these pills, powder, supplements, detoxes, diets, and everything else. What would happen if you found a way to talk to them? And this is where Kevin's book and my book are coming into play. What would happen if what you said had them skip that step, that agony that you went through? And that is why I don't like anybody giving their 2 cents about how, oh yeah, the Weston Price Foundation woke me up. I don't want to completely knock them because I'm loyal to the past. No, sorry, I'm trying to develop a different path for your friends. Why don't you want to develop a different path for your friends and family? Why do they have to go through that agony that you went through? Why don't you save them from that? No difference in the Alex Jones and natural news. I can acknowledge that Alex Jones and natural news woke me up in some way. And then it culminated. So my knowledge from my allopathic background, from having parents in biotech, to then looking at Alex Jones, the conspiracy community, Jilly juice is a combination of both those worlds. We don't have to go through the Alex Jones methodology to get to where Jillian is, Jilly juice is. We don't have to do that. There's no sense in doing that. It's like wasted time. It's like with this whole thing with middle management in companies where you have redundancy. And then when they get somebody to come in and do a streamline of the operations, they get rid of all the excess meat and fat, right? They cut the fat. That's exactly when we're trying to eradicate the holistic model, that you don't have to go through that. You can go from, point A to point Z without having to go through B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, That's the whole point of what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to articulate. And yesterday I was really going through my mind, how am I going to articulate this? I know I'm triggered by this, and there's a reason why I'm triggered by this, because I'm trying to save people from not having to go through that. So yeah, so that's exactly what Jilly Juice is. It's streamlining that process that we thought, like 6 months ago, I thought you had to go through the holistic model to finally understand Jilly Juice, because there is layers of programming that you do have to keep peeling back. And my progression was, at first it was allopathic biotech, and then it was the holistic, and then finally this is what created Jilly Juice. I'm now saying, hey, let's kill off and eradicate the holistic model, because some people in your world are going to stay stuck in that holistic model. And it's obvious, because some of your friends are not buying into Jilly Juice. I'm not saying that's your fault, but you're not exactly supporting Jilly Juice 100%. You're not exactly promoting it 100% so they get it, because maybe what you say, even just in something in passing that may seem innocuous, may land in their world, because guess what? You're their friend. But the fact that they still keep promoting the pills, powders, and supplements, and then they're under the impression that I'm still supporting the holistic model because you haven't exactly trained your friends into thinking that Jilly Juice is actually the end-all be-all, they're going to still stay stuck in that world. And guess what? They're going to freaking suffer. So you're essentially, by you not saying anything, you're allowing your friends to suffer in the holistic system without giving them, doing 100% in your power to get them to understand they don't have to suffer in the holistic model. Even though they don't think it's suffering, they are suffering, because guess what? They're looping in their conspiracy bullshit. I had to kill off one of my friends' friends because they were looping, and I finally had to kill off that comment line. And then they went right to my private message and said, hey, why did you kill me off that comment line? I didn't block you like you thought I blocked him. No, I didn't block you. I'm just trying to upset your crazy diatribe. And then I eventually had to block him, because I'm like, I'm not going to play this back and forth through private messenger. But I know why that guy was out of sorts, because he's still stuck in that model. And I'm not saying it's her fault that he was still stuck in that model, but that's the outcome. The outcome is really the intention. I have definitely eradicated a lot of people that are not on board. Believe me, I'm not going to be able to change everybody's minds. I do 100%. And then if I find that they're still not doing whatever, and it's not like, they have to do whatever I say, but then it's my choice if they want to be friends with me. It's my choice if I want to be friends with them. It's my choice if I want to keep seeing their posts every day. It's my choice that even if I stop following them, that I still see them commenting on their friends who are still in the holistic world, and they know about Jilly Juice, and they're still promoting all this crap. So then I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't need to see this. It triggers me, because they were part of my group. They know the power of Jilly Juice, and yet they went back to the dark side. Well, I can't watch that. It doesn't follow within my own morals, and I got to be true to myself and my belief system, right? So I'm going to be, cleaning off my Facebook. I haven't done everybody, right? Because there's some of you that are still promoting turmeric and all that BS. But I mean, you choose your battles. Do I really? I mean, some people, I give a little leeway to, as far as, because they know they just started discovering Jilly Juice. They're still stuck in the cannabis world. And they have been watching all my videos, and they're still mutual friends of mine that are still stuck in the conspiracy world, still doing the chemtrail stuff, and also doing Jilly Juice. So I do keep that as a consideration, because I know they're still a little bit looping. They're considering Jilly Juice. They're not 100% on board. But, it's going to be a process for them. But their friends really need to get it in their head. But it's not their friends' responsibility either, because they may not be very articulate. But some of you are very articulate. So if you do have friends that you want me to friend, then you better pounded in their head because they're going to be suffering. But still, I know it's not your responsibility. But some of you are friends of your friends that are watching me, and you know that you've been connected to me by them. And so I'm now speaking to you. You don't have to go through the holistic route. You don't have to go through the conspiracy theory activist route. You can go straight from allopathic eating crappy food and taking prescription drugs, and then look at Jilly Juice and understand the role of pain. Understand that when you do have healing symptoms, it's kind of like detox symptoms, but in a different way, in a different context. You don't have to go through the detox, experience to understand the whole pain is healing type of methodology through Jilly Juice. Right. And there is no way out. Like Rocky said, there is no way out, no shortcut. We have to do the work. Yes, you do. But you don't have to go through the holistic model. And so, yes, you can go through and do the work, but you don't have to go through the holistic model. And I see people thinking that that is the path to Jilly Juice, is that you go from the allopathic world to where it's all prescription drugs and over-the-counter drugs and pharmacies, to then, the holistic world where you're doing the Reiki, or you're doing the yoga, or you're doing the meditation, and you're doing the detoxes, and you're doing the ayahuasca, whatever that is, and then other types of, protocols that are in the holistic herbalist world. And then, then maybe if that doesn't work, assuming they survive those protocols, then they can look at Jilly Juice. No, what I'm trying to do is eradicate the holistic world altogether. Because we are all born into a system. If you are, if you're not completely extreme and you're like not out there like these, polygamists that are off the grid, right? You are going to be born into a society where it's either going to be a midwife or you're going to be born in a hospital. One of the two. But either way, that midwife is probably tied to the holistic world, and they're going to be applying all the different holistic methods to the kids' maladies, to the diseases or the sicknesses of the children that are born into a holistic model, because they haven't reversed their mutation, so they're still going to have eczema. So that midwife is still going to be, promoting herbs, topicals, pills, powder, supplements, all of that. Okay? So I'm saying, hey, we don't have to play in that arena. We can jump from that arena right into Jilly Juice. Okay? And so that's what I'm trying. So that's why when I see somebody trying to defend Weston A. Price, it triggered me. So pay attention to your triggers, because that is an issue that is unresolved in your head. So when you get mad about something, when you get reactive about something, when you take something personal about something, it is an unresolved issue that you must work out. So every single time I get triggered, and it could be by my own supporters as well as people who are trolls, but I stopped following the trolls so I don't get triggered left and right, right? I don't deal with the trolls. I don't deal with half-assed support. So I eradicate the triggers. But when I do see a trigger, and sometimes it's from one of my own ardent supporters, and I think it's fine because they're still working through some stuff. But I'm glad that I have my own people, triggering me in a way, because then we can work through it together. Because I know they have the intention, all the great intentions, to promote this and get their own world well. But they're still dealing with their own stuff. They still have baggage. So when I do go back and forth with people on my Facebook, and others I'll just block, it's because I already know what their intention is. There's already an investment that they've already done that I'm going to now invest in them. They've invested in me, I'm going to invest in them. When it's someone that's new on my Facebook trying to debate me, I'm not going to invest too much in them because they haven't invested too much in me. That's why I block new people who want to debate with me, because they have not shown any investment at all whatsoever in my information. So I don't feel the need to invest in somebody that I'd have no idea what their intention is. So this is why I do like my friends to kind of bring up stuff if they see it, which is great. Ellen, great. Lily Lynn, another person that, Patty Collette, those three ladies, they're being true to themselves. They've triggered me in the past too. Some of it could have been a language issue. It could have been, who knows, something else. but I know their intentions. They've already invested in me, so I have no problem investing in them. And that is the equal exchange of energies that I talk about. Okay? And that's how I deal with, and I don't deal with all the people in the same way. Some of you, I won't even play that. I'm like, I'll stick you straight into my website, go get my book, read it, then ask those questions in the discussion forum. I'm not going to be investing countless hours in your whatever, right? But there's new subject matters that I do want to talk about sometimes because it doesn't always get brought up or something that I haven't thought of. And I will go back and forth because it's new and it's interesting and it's new ground that we're covering. I have no problem doing that. But when it's the same ground that I've already covered, then I tend to like not want to go back and forth. And then I'll throw you in my discussion forum and you can ask my moderator and she'll help you out. She has no problem doing that. So this is my goal, and I'm sure this is Kevin's goal because Kevin doesn't want people going through the holistic world when they don't have to. I mean, if you're going to be a Reiki therapist, then you better implement Jilly Juice somewhere because where are all those negative elements that you're basically manipulating out of the body, out of the lymph nodes? Where is that going to go? It doesn't just disappear. Yeah, you can drink some water, but how much water? It's not about just the water and Reiki, right? They're like, oh yeah, when you do Reiki or some other type of detox, you got to drink water to make sure you flush it all out. Not all the stuff gets flushed out through that way. Sometimes you need to you have to actually repair the damage that's in your body from the initial toxins that are being stored in your lymph nodes. And then when you re-release them, they're now going to then do a double jeopardy on your body again. And now you have even a more malfunctioned, mutated body because of those poisons that were once in that one area being somewhat separated. But then you're seeing, yeah, people are being mutated because it threw the balance off the body when you are coagulating that much pathogens in your lymph nodes. But as soon as you release them, they're not disappearing. Okay, so this is where I want my holistic people who say that they support me, they need to put Jilly Juice somewhere in their protocol. Now, someone won't even want to mention my name because they'll get the backlash. But then, then you're also going to run the risk of someone going through Jilly Juice and going through the healing symptoms. And, you're not a licensed doctor. So they may want to sue you because you brought on something that they never experienced before. And then you're not trained enough in my protocol to understand and give them the heads up. Hey, there's future triggers. If you've never had a heart condition and all of a sudden you have a heart thing that goes on, yeah, that's a future trigger. You could have potentially in 5 years, if you hadn't done Jilly Juice, died from a heart attack. But the fact that you have pain in your heart, you never experienced it before, is because that is your cardiovascular system healing. But not everybody is articulate enough to know how to speak to a patient's listening because remember, these therapists out there who do therapy are reactive specialists. They react. Okay? So, now we're learning how to be proactive, and that is a completely different model than the reactive therapy world. And it's going to escape some of these therapists. That's why they won't mention Jilly Juice because they don't even know what to expect because they're probably not even doing it themselves. So that's why Kevin and I were trying to find a way because I'm trying to speak to people's listenings. He's trying to write to people's listenings. Okay. And we're trying to have you guys completely skip that middle step, the holistic world step. Now, that's not always going to happen for people. Some people need to bang their head against the wall a few times before they finally get it, and that's okay. But there's some people who are really, really smart, who are very articulate, who understand science and chemistry, and they'll understand the human body, and they'll get it. And they won't even need anybody to support them. They won't need to be in the discussion forum. They probably don't even need the book. But others, yeah, they're just going to have to go through, because mutations do make people's head foggy and cloudy. The programming in our society is very hard to, get away from. And so they really need a lot more. And that's what I'm trying to do. So that's why I speak every day. So you see, this is the product of Jilly Juice. This is why I have Kevin writing, his book. Okay. This is why I have the primer, which is my book, the Cliff Notes. So those that already understand, that don't need a lot of hand holding, they get the book. And then if they need a little bit of support and bantering under anonymity, they can go use my website. And then if you already have your account locked down, you don't have any kids or animals that you're worried about somebody, messing with or using them as a target, then you can go follow along on my Facebook. You can comment, but I don't want any basic questions. Okay, Lily Stone. So, so I do think of all the different people that are doing this. My protocol is meant for the different types of people in our society. Those that live right next to Walmart, that have no cars, and that don't want to be dragging gallons and gallons of water every day. They can use tap water as long as they can leave it out for like 24 hours if they need to. That's actually what I do right now, is I actually use the tap water and I put it in a filter system, a zero water filter system, that I haven't changed the filters. So when I actually do test it, it actually has the same components as it's in tap water. But guess what? I use it in my ferments. Everything is fine. Because even the heavy metals that are in tap water is still what your body needs. And then you're countering those excessive heavy metals like fluoride and something else with the salt and then the nutrients. And then the laws of your immune system is going to excrete the excess negative elements, excess fluoride, excess mercury, excess calcium, excess this, excess that, and then it's going to absorb the balance to what it needs. Right now, the problem with our society is we have people completely imbalanced, and they are accumulating excess negative heavy elements. And even though some of them may be doing detoxes and laxatives, and maybe cleaning, doing enemas and cleaning their poop out, but they haven't fixed the mutations. And no vegan or vegetarian is going to fix those mutations because you're not absorbing the nutrition. You're not even breaking it down to a state that you can actually derive, benefit from. So that's why the Jilly juice is so revolutionary, is because it's been broken down to a pre-digested state, no different than mother's milk for babies. I mean, Jilly juice is the mother's milk for adults. That's exactly how I want to describe Jilly juice. It is breast milk for the degenerating adult. Because when you are degenerating in our society with cancer, disease, and chronic illness, you are malnourished. And when you're malnourished, your body is broken down and it doesn't work in the capacity that it did before you started mutating it. No different than a baby can't have solid foods because it hasn't developed those systems yet to be able to break it down. So it's all about, going from one end of the spectrum to the other and then finding that balance in between and understanding that. Because we're way behind the eight ball. Those of you who are still trying to struggle through all of your different protocols and holistic stuff and allopathic stuff, you're way behind the eight ball, like way behind the eight ball. And you have to be avoiding certain things. You have to be repairing certain things. You have to go through the healing process to finally get to that equilibrium state, to then where you can be around anybody, anything, eat whatever you want. And then your biochemistry is going to keep that balance. And then everything is wonderful. But right now, people are not willing to do the work. They want the easy way, shortcut out, way. So they're investing in pills, powder, supplements, cannabis, prescription drugs, immunotherapies, procedures, operations, stents, screws, bladder slings, birth control. You know what the majorest birth control is? The best birth control for your child and for you is 100% health. Because then the body doesn't see it's dying. It's not going to be then dropping seeds, because that's what I'm working on, is completely eradicating my period, inducing amenorrhea. And then it doesn't need to drop seeds, so you're not going to feel sexual. You're not going to have a biological clock. And then you're not going to want to have sex. And then you're not going to be risking whether or not you're going to get pregnant. You're not going to be wondering, should I be taking Plan B? Should I get an abortion? That won't even be at all in your future, at all in your world. Because you're 100% healthy and your focus is going to be on something completely different. You're going to be focusing on your life goals, on accomplishments. Whatever it is that you feel that, that you want to to do in life, whatever is fun, who knows? It could be being a great lawyer. It could be being a great therapist, because there's still people who are mutated out there that won't do jilly juice. And so you need to help them out in a different way without completely destroying them too. But some people, that are going into therapy are still stuck in that model. And maybe you might find a way to incorporate jilly juice in some way if you're a therapist or a psychologist, right? So you will be accomplishing major things once you get 100% well. Oh, Carolyn, been playing piano. Yeah, you can go take up new hobbies. Like I'm I'm going to be playing with guns. Okay. Which is like, holy crap. But I'm learning how to shoot guns, learning the understanding of the guns. I mean, before yesterday, I was too afraid to touch a gun, to play with a gun, right? Okay. And this is unloaded. I mean, I was too afraid to even open this up and look in the gun. These were my fears, okay? And so, there's nothing in here, right? And so I learned how to then, get the slide back to where, so then I'm learning how to do that. And then I'm learning this. I mean, these are the things that I'm learning, okay? So this is with my new world. So I slide this, right? And then I'm just practicing holding a gun, right? This is the things that I'm learning that I never thought was possible for me. I love you, Jason. And there you go. And I'm just learning how to do this stuff, right? So these are the things. And this is what I would have done this 2 years ago. I wouldn't have touched this 2 years ago. But I went to a class yesterday and I learned the safety, how to use a gun. And I'm going to be a concealed carry because I don't want anyone messing with me. So this is fun, right? But then you got to shoot it with the bullets, which I will be doing that sometime today. So these are the things that you learn and you get past your fears because you don't have the PTSD, those traumas anymore. That's what I'm talking about. That you can be a baker, you can be a policeman, you can be a fireman, you can be whatever it is that you want to be, and you'll know how to regenerate and make your profession better. So this is huge. And that's why I'm saying that I was a little bit sober yesterday, like, oh my God, like dealing with a gun. This is power. It's a lot of power. And it should never be taken lightly. Ever. It is about safety. It's not tactical. It's not like, how do you kill somebody? No, it's about gun safety. Okay. So those are the things that I've been learning. And thank you, Caroline. I'm proud of myself too. And the next thing today, I'll be learning how to, to load. I mean, I know how to load. There's a magazine, you load it, but then it's learning how to fire and controlling your breathing and target shooting. And that's, so I shot a gun a couple months ago. It was great. It wasn't a formalized class. And now I want to get my concealed carry. Because you can open carry here in Ohio, but who wants to be a target, right? You walk into a place and you're open carrying, the robber or whoever is going to kill you before they kill anybody else because you have the gun. So that's the whole point of concealed carry. Nobody knows what you're doing, what you're packing. So anyways, so these are the things that I'm learning. Okay. And it's no fear. You will have no fear of anything. No fear at all whatsoever. So, and you just have to be calm, and you got to do the jilly juice, and you got to know what is available for you. You don't know what your world's going to bring you until you finally get your biochemistry. And then once you get your biochemistry in equilibrium, then sky's the freaking limit. And this is why those of you that have kids, you got to get your kids on this, because then your kids are going to be the most amazing children that will not have any limit to their aspirations. None. Right now, we have a lot of kids who are going to hit the wall at some point. They're only going to be able to go so far, and then they're going to hit the wall because their health is not going to allow them to achieve what they want to achieve. And that's what I was totally struggling with, is my health was not giving me what I wanted. I knew I wanted to achieve so much, but my health did not allow me to do that. Health is freaking wealth. Know that. Because then anything is possible when you get your health 100% under control. Right now, people do not have that power because their health is failing. Okay? So that was the fear. Handling a gun was a fear of mine that I am working through, training my brain to even know that the kick behind the gun, because it's about training your brain, about programming your body to go in a specific direction. Every single time we learn something, every single time we go to school, every single time somebody teaches us something, we are being programmed. Every single time someone tells us something, we are being programmed. Program yourself in the right direction. Don't program yourself in a death process. Program yourself in a life-giving process, but also be aware of what society you live in as well, and know all of the pitfalls so you don't walk into those. That's what I'm trying to get across. Be strategic in your life trajectory. It's all about, it's all a game, you guys. It's a freaking game out there. Once you know the rules, it's going to be easy to play. But if you don't know the rules and the laws, yes, you're going to be having hiccups. You're going to be fighting against something you have no business fighting, and you're going to lose because you haven't played the game. You don't know the rules. You don't know the laws. If you don't know the laws, you believe all the stories. And that's why you have these activists that are getting their kids taken away. Why CPS gets triggered. Because people don't know the rules, they don't know the laws, they don't know how to be an effective activist. And so that's why you have all this victims out there. They're not victims. They're just people that don't know the rules and laws, and so they're damaged. And so that's why I'm saying get away from the activism, because those are all victims of people that don't understand the rules and the laws, and they will forever circulate in their bullshit until they pass away. I don't want you guys to do that. I don't want you to fall into that. Understand the society that you live in and work accordingly. The laws are there for a reason. And there is corruption everywhere, but you know what? That's to be expected. You can't fight and legislate morals. If the system finds out, great. If they have money to buy their way out of a punishment, it happens. There's nothing you can do about it. Maybe one day you'll have a lot of money, but then you won't be, in a position to where you have to buy yourself out of a punishment, because you're not going to be doing something like that. You're not going to be going and raping somebody and then having somebody buy yourself out of that punishment. That, Baylor kid that raped a girl, not getting any prison time, but yet, what's his name? Bill Cosby, is in jail, basically doing time for all of those guys. And drugs and sex were prevalent back in the 70s. It was not saying that excusing what he did, if in fact he did commit a crime, but yeah, that was the time back then, and he's being punished, and he has all this money, right? But somehow he's being held accountable, but yet this Baylor kid isn't. It happens. You can't get pissed off. Just protect yourself. And if you're sending your girls off to college, you better let your girls know what goes on in these college dorms. But once you send your kid off into college and they're 20 and they haven't been doing jilly juice, you can bet and be sure they're going to fall into something of that. So prepare yourself. All right, enough. I'm going to do my thing. My husband's sleeping still. He partied last night. And I'm going to go and do practice stuff with my new gun. And yeah, I'm going to get comfortable with this and learn all the safety stuff and learn something new every single day and keep drinking. And then Lily Stones, I looked up amenorrhea yesterday and not a no once I found it shows it's anything but a bad thing to be fixed. Right, yeah, because they want everybody to be fertile. They want you to be locked into having a kid. They want you to be distracted by raising children. Oh yeah, this is interesting. I was watching, speaking of amenorrhea and being locked into raising kids. I was watching this YouTube on that guy Chris Watts and this commentator were saying that yeah, this guy, he found a new girlfriend and sex was amazing between him and his new girlfriend, his mistress. And Chris Watts has like two or three kids, I forget, like two or three girls, health problems, stuck in suburbia. Chris Watts is still very young and still good looking and has all these dreams and aspirations. And he got himself in over his head with a wife, with three kids. She's about to have another kid. And he's just like, oh my God. People don't know the magnitude of what it's like to have a child. Men and women don't. Some people know the magnitude and they will rise to the occasion. Others are just like, and they're still messed up in the head. They still, want to have that single lifestyle, the freedom. Because when you have a kid or when you're married, I don't want to say it's a jail sentence, but you're not accountable to just yourself anymore. You're accountable to somebody else. So if you're not ready to be completely tied down to suburbia, carpools, soccer moms, and all that, don't be having kids and don't be having sex. That's going to result in a kid. Get 100% well. If you want freedom, get 100% well. And then you can pick and choose when you want to have a child at the time that's appropriate, if it's still something that you want to do. Health is wealth. Health is freedom. Seriously, health is freedom. How many men out there that have had lots of sex in their youth now are still paying child support in their 40s? Yeah, because they're held accountable for creating that kid. Health is wealth. You won't be a slave to your reproductive system or your sexuality if you get yourself 100% healthy. So just let that be something to think about. We will see more of these things, infanticide and people killing their families because they're not ready. So be careful who you marry. Be very careful who you marry. With the way our society is and how mutated it is, you just never know. You never know. People can snap just like that and they're not healthy, so anything goes. Be very careful who you marry. All right, I'm going to go, but you guys have a good day. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. And I'm going to go do and pursue my dreams and goals, just like all of you. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.